Sparking Change for Harmonious Living is a TV show that inspires action. It motivates you to start a journey towards a more balanced, fulfilling life. This show explores well-being through spirituality, mental clarity, and physical health. It covers topics like mindfulness, nutrition, fitness, and spirituality, giving you practical advice to enhance your life. Tune in for a transformative adventure that ignites the change you seek.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. I am your host, Giovanna Tartarone.
And I'm your co-host, Ahmed Bahma.
So today's show, we're going to be talking about celebrating your wins. Yes, for all the work and the effort that you do, we seldomly celebrate the small wins or the large wins that we have in our lives because we feel that we're not that important, most of us, and we keep going life thinking that it's okay not to celebrate. Well, I'm here to tell you in today's show, we're going to tell you why it's important to celebrate the ones that you have. So, Ahmed, I know you have a beautiful poem to share.
Yes, absolutely. We seldom take the time to really focus on ourselves, let alone celebrate for all the little accomplishments that we've done. It doesn't matter how small they are. A win is considered a win. There's a beautiful poem titled You Can. It says, if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. That's how winning is so important. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. Now, with the will, you hold on to the wins.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize.
Love that.
There is a belief attached to it.
Of course.
Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can, or the woman who thinks she can.
So beautiful. It's so beautiful. And when we're celebrating our wins, you knew you can, you believed you can, and that's why you won. And how can we embrace that in everything that we do? Because this is what builds our self-confidence. This is what motivates us to do more, is when we really focus on ourselves and the accomplishments that we've made. We must celebrate ourselves first. We must be happy first for the accomplishments that we made before we can expect others to be happy for us. Sometimes many friends I've heard from, no one acknowledged that I did this or I did that. And, that used to be me too. Now I understand. The first one that needs to acknowledge it is me. I need to
Yes.
celebrate me and for the works that, for the wins that I have.
Apart from that, as well, we need to also focus on ourselves with our very own self image. We need to hold on to a winner's image. Why do I say that? Because if you're in tune with yourself and you come from a spirit looking at yourself as a winner, that will give yourself a privilege to start thinking what are the things that I can do in order to win a little bit more. Not only that, but it's the feeling that you accompany with it. You see, if you feel you're going to win, you're going to do it. Why? Because feeling is vibration. Feeling allows your body to move in a certain direction. Wherever your attention goes, energy flows. And it was a beautiful story. I've seen a short video not too long ago about a famous actor by the name Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that throughout all of his success that he had gone through, there was a period of time in his life where he was having a lot of setbacks and he couldn't understand what was going on. So he said it wasn't long after that he found a journal probably just like this one, and where every day he was writing down his wins regardless how
Yes.
big or small.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting fact about what he said was as soon as I was reading and remembering my wins, it made me tap into the feeling of what it was like to win.
Yeah,
And he said,
absolutely.
the more I in exercised my focus and emotions onto the winning frequency, everything started to shift again. It wasn't very long before he went back on track again because winning is just another frequency.
And you know what? When you're on that frequency, it's also about being grateful, right? Because how many times we win something, whatever it is, or we do something, we're so grateful that we've had the opportunity to come out winning. So that state of gratitude also begins to open up doors for other things for you to win at. And it's a ripple effect because when you do win and you do feel good and you are celebrating, well, a lot of people want to be celebrating with you when you're celebrating, right? That's for sure.
Absolutely. And you know, being grateful, regardless whether you physically experience the win or whether you can conceive the winning
Hmm.
scenario in your own imagination and you give gratitude for that as well, that opens a door to the divine of unlimited supply. Scripture says that the more grateful you are for what you have, the more you shall receive. Or the whatever you have you're grateful for, that shall be increased in your life as an experience.
You mentioned before, I love that. You mentioned before about your self image. And when we're celebrating ourselves, not just for the accomplishments that we've achieved, but also to acknowledge who you are, to acknowledge that you're here and you're doing great things for humanity. How could you not feel good? How could you not celebrate?
Out of all of the possibilities of chances of another person being born instead of you, but yet you are here. You're born to win. Your whole mechanism that is inherent in your nature is a nature of a winner. And if I want to like remember my childhood, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about a lot of people, but I was the kind that if I was playing a video game with my siblings, and for example I lost a match, I would say, no, can we play again? And I'd never leave the joystick until I actually win. But this is
Yeah,
inherent in everyone's nature. Now,
yeah,
yes, we do get setback at times in life, but the thing is that as long as you remain focused and you're self disciplined with your thoughts and look at yourself as a winner's image, you will continue to tap into a winning emotion, and therefore you change your vibratory rate to attract circumstances and conditions that would align with your self image. You can't
absolutely.
help but to attract to yourself all the necessary things in order to fulfill that vision that you have. Moves
And
on
it's
from vision
also
to sight.
and it's also a state of mind, right? If even if you're feeling that you may not be where you are, you didn't go from A to D, but you moved one step forward from A to B, you must acknowledge that. You must take the time to acknowledge that because it's the only way that's going to get you to B. And never give up, right? Never, never, never give up.
That's a very profound statement by Winston Churchill. He always said, never, never, never give up. He has a very famous saying.
Just like that, right? I think I heard him talk to me right now. But it's true. And, because we didn't achieve, what we expected. Because sometimes we expect a lot more than, we can do, and think that we failed, and we really didn't. It's, the perception of how we are thinking of, you know, where we want to be versus where God wants you to be, right? And there's lessons that we need to learn in order to be a winner sometimes. And if we're not learning those lessons, it's just
Yes.
for us to grow, right? Because when
You
we win, we're
never
growing.
you never lose in life. You either
Mm,
win or you learn. There was a statement by Napoleon Hill. He said, "A winner never quits, and a
a quitter
quitter never
never
wins."
quits. Amen.
Consistency and being persistent through self-discipline will elevate you to the place where you can achieve greater things. If you focus on the possibilities of winning, you'll start to attract all the opportunities.
But I love what you said before about making sure, writing it down, the importance of writing it down, to see it on paper. If I go back to my accomplishments, the only time I felt accomplished is when I was handed in a piece of paper. Here's your degree. Here, you did it. And the truth of the matter is, it took so much work to get that piece of paper that really, if I celebrated along the way, I would have felt more enthused. I had more energy, more. By the time they gave me that piece of paper, I was like a dead duck. I was like, okay, great. All that work that I did, right? All my energy. But it's so important to celebrate our wins.
Absolutely. And I love what you just shared about having that piece of paper because it gives
Mm,
you certain recognition. But I want to also shed some light to all the others, for example, who have never experienced receiving that piece of paper. Remember one thing: none of you are here to focus on having any validation from anywhere else. When you celebrate yourself, it doesn't matter how small
mm.
things are. Always seek self validation. That's
First,
the
right?
highest form of validation that you can have. That
Hmm.
is after the divine validation that you get from experience. Just know that if you can go to bed every night and you wake up the next day, it is a win in itself in the chapter of life. Every human being, no matter where you are at the point, all of you are encompassed together in this whole scheme of story in life, and each individual is just a chapter. All of you are winners. If
Absolutely.
if there was something different about you in your life, it will cause an unbalance everywhere else. Just remember, it doesn't matter what it is. Always seek to find the good in everything. Wherever you are right now, it is what it is. Accept it. But what we need to focus on is harvest the good in every situation.
That's right.
For example, you have, you know, two different individuals. They go through certain setbacks. One of them keeps complaining because he's being a fault finder. Another one is seeing that, okay, this setback is just temporary. I'm still alive. That's a win. I still can
Oh,
breathe. I still can walk. It doesn't matter, but it's the shift in your perception that's very important, that you need to align yourself with all these little blessings that you have.
share that story about the house burning down.
Oh yes. So
Okay.
as an example, you have two families. For example, there has been a fire in a forest, and these houses were not too far from the forest. Now, two houses burned down. One family is basically complaining, saying, "Oh, my life is ruined. I've lost everything." But then when you look the other side, the other family says, "Oh, it's just a house. We can rebuild it. At least we're all safe. At least we're all healthy." And the other person is more
Absolutely.
grateful. And how many times have we seen that when there is a certain catastrophe around the world, so much funds have been raised for relief. It wasn't very long before they basically went back and they've had another new sets of home that they can just move back in and continue their life. But we need to recognize that there are many instances where God will test us, right? And these tests can come in any form. It's not how you react to it, but it's how you
Exactly.
respond to it.
Respond to it.
Bob one time saw a little girl, and I think I saw either him or someone else. I can't remember the story clearly, but they asked this little girl, what is the difference between reacting and responding? And the way Bob explained it, he said, and this little girl's, in her tiny voice, and said, well, reacting is when you don't take a time to think about before saying something, but when you respond, you take a moment to think. And that's what we need to do. The same thing is, instead of frowning upon something, instead of thinking about what went wrong or where did I go wrong, why can't we think about where things went right, or where did I do things that were right? And celebrate these little things, because it matters to you. It matters to each and
Absolutely.
every single one of you.
And this is where we build the self-confidence. This is where it all begins. It begins with us. I mean, you can, we have a self-confidence camp where we teach how to really build this inner knowing that what you're doing, you're on the right path. So many times we doubt that, and we're really doubting it because of fear, worry, and doubt, not because we're not able to. Because if you have the belief and a strong belief that you can achieve whatever it is that you want to do, there's no way you can't win, right? You put the time in, you dedicate yourself, you fuse yourself with the idea of whatever it is you want to do, and it will manifest as long as you take action and you have faith in yourself first.
You don't have to copy or imitate anyone. You are a very unique individual. Everybody has a unique light, right? And you shine your light to the world. There's another beautiful poem that I feel strongly that to share it. It's by James T. Moore. It says, one and only you. It says, every single blade of grass and every flake of snow is just a wee bit different. There's no two alike, From something small, like grains of sand, to each gigantic star, all were made with this in mind, to be just what they are. How foolish then to imitate, how useless to pretend, since each of us comes from a mind whose ideas never end. So that's so powerful. There'll only be just one of me to show what I can do, and you should likewise feel very proud. There's only one of you. The blessings that each one of you contribute throughout your lifetime is immense. And if you
So
try to
beautiful.
grab your pen just over the year, just write down every day how many wins you've had for the day. It doesn't matter, even if it's one. If you can't find one, ask yourself this question: what can I consider as a win today before I go to bed? It counts. All of them counts, and it accumulates. You know, small, consistent wins over
Lead to
time
bigger wins.
lead to a bigger one.
And this is all part of self-care. This is all part of self-care. We say, self-care is going doing your nails and your hair, or no, this is what counts more. Because when you're feeling good, when you're acknowledging who you are and the accomplishments that you've made and the difference that you've made, not only in yourself, but in contribution to society as a whole, that fulfillment comes from the inside. There's no way that you can't, you're on that path of achieving bigger and greater things, but you need to acknowledge yourself,
Acknowledge yourself.
because you are so much greater than you think you are. You're so much greater than you think. And we don't do that. We don't take the time, because we're doing, and I repeat that all the time. We don't take the time to be, just to 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 be happy for whatever it is we have in front of us, to be content, to be loving, to be sharing, to be compassionate to others. If we just step into that a little bit, I think the doors open up to endless possibilities on the things that we can do.
And remember one thing, do not think of things, items or situations or circumstances that you do not wish to see. Only focus on the things of what you want to see. But
Mm,
it has to be your state of being where you feel that you are living this experience. Because, as Bob always said, he said, you do not attract things to you unless they're vibrating in harmony with you.
right.
How do you create a harmonic resonance? Well, if I want to be in a situation where I can win, I must first create the image or the scenario in my mind and then get into the spirit of it by feeling it.
Absolutely.
See,
And that's what's happening when you're celebrating. You're actually feeling so good. It's like having a birthday cake, right? We should have
it,
a cake every day for wins.
let, I want to share another story. And Bob once mentioned about a famous producer in at Hollywood. His name is Phil Goldfine. I'm sure a lot of you might have heard him. If you haven't, please do look him up. The interesting part is he's one of the very few who has, won an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony, all three. He's won a second Oscar. But before he won his first Oscar, a week prior to him getting the Oscar, he stood up on stage in one of the conferences with Bob and he was reading his winning speech. He he
Yeah,
embodied it's not like he was thinking that he was going to win. He knew he was going to win. You see, there are certain laws. If you understand the laws, then you need to understand the method of application. Now, this, when you understand the method of application and you apply it, it will lead you to the truth. And
yes.
once you realize the truth, you will reach to an understanding, or what everyone else would like to call it as gnosis. It's not whether you think you can, you know you can. All of you are a winner if you repeat to yourself that I am a winner, referring to you. Over time, subconsciously, you start to believe it. As Napoleon stated, he said, if you repeat a lie long enough, you'll end up believing it anyways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You see, your body would correspond, your vibration would as well correspond to whatever you entertain the most. Anything that you
I
entertain
love
the
that.
longest becomes the strongest.
So good. And this is why it's so important to really acknowledge the work that you do and take pride in it. Don't think it's just, oh, anybody can do this. No, you've taken your commitment, right? And again, when you feel great, you vibrate an energy that you're sharing. You're sharing those feelings. And that, to me, brings more joy into the world. And we all take part in that. So when you're celebrating your wins, it's not even just about you. It's about going home feeling so great and getting your families, let's go out to dinner. Like you're spreading that happiness, that joy. And there is
Absolutely.
no reason why you can't win in whatever you do.
And winning as well goes into a person's emotion where you're most happy, and
Right.
it's contagious. Like you How many celebrities, doesn't matter, like in Formula One, boxing, or even movie stars who win, you find that their magnetism is so strong that people always want to be around them because of the energy that they emanate. Well, here's the thing: you are a living transformer, you are a living tuning fork. And whatever energy you put out comes back multiple fold.
Yes.
None of them are smarter than you. None of them are more special than you. Everybody's equal in potential based on the spiritual truths of what you are. Remember, we're spiritual beings living a physical experience. Your spiritual DNA is perfect, it's identical like everyone else's. The only difference is to what degree are we using these spiritual gifts that we have.
That's so profound, and I feel that people don't understand that yet. And that's why they're not celebrating the accomplishments. And when you really understand that you have unlimited potential, you just need to tap into these gifts and acknowledge your wins so that you can continue to tap in and do more. Because this is what brings us fulfillment. This is what brings us happiness. It's the work that we do for ourselves. So this was a great show. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you, everyone, for watching Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. And I am your host, Giovanna Tarderone.
And I'm your co host, Ahmed Bahman. And see you all next week.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change for Harmonious Living.